Thanks for reading. Again, I'd like to thank everyone who read. My name is Craig. I'm grateful to be in the process of recovery. And it's an honor to be here tonight, right? I look forward to coming here once a month. I've been here several times. And I get excited when I come here. And you may ask why I get excited when I come here, right? Well, I'm the guy, if I can qualify myself, I smoked crack until I couldn't smoke crack no more. I'm the guy who sniffed dope until I OD'd 5 times, right? If you're familiar with the Midtown Tunnel coming from Portsmouth, from Norfolk to Portsmouth, and you see a split in the road where it says Suffolk and Norfolk, that median right there, I hit that median at 68 miles an hour when I OD'd. When I hit the median, I had some dope in my car. I was only concerned with getting the dope up my side console and running not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 lanes across the interstate. And I didn't have a problem. I'm the guy, November 29th, 1992, I robbed a crack house in Boston. Robbed a crack house in Boston for $10 in a raincoat. And I went to jail for 4,375 days. That's 13 years in prison for $10 in a raincoat. I'm the guy that when I was 13 years of age, I had a cousin. We were like brothers, and we was always talking. We stayed at each other's house. My mom always taught me, but we slept head to foot, never side by side. I'm the guy that on this occasion, I happened to go to my aunt's boyfriend's house, and I'm sleeping in the bed at 13 years of age, and I woke up in the middle of the night thinking I'm peeing in the bed, only to find this guy had his mouth on my penis. Oh, man. At 13 years of age. And I'm telling you this story because I covered this stuff up with pain by doing drugs. So at 13 years of age, I get sexually traumatized. I don't tell anybody about it because when he did it, the first thing he did was put his hand over my mouth and said, "Don't tell nobody." I remember my mom going to work one day when I was in the projects of Boston, and we lived in the projects, right? So it gets hot. So we used to have one of those green box fans, right? And I remember my mom, she had this cup in the refrigerator. She said, "Don't touch my cup when I go to work." So I get inquisitive. I go in the refrigerator and I drank what was in the cup, only to find out that hours later, I put the fan on because I began to sweat. I began to put the radio on. I was listening to a song called Car Wash, right? And I spun around and I bust my head on the floor. My mom told me, "Don't tell no one." That was secret number 2. So I was conditioned at a very young age to begin to tell a secret, to keep a secret. Don't tell anyone how you really feel. But it didn't stop there. Because on another occasion, I had a cousin who used to smoke weed when I was a kid, right? And she was always real funny, always real talkative, always the excited one to be around. But whenever she smoked weed, she would take me in the bedroom with her, right? And she would take off my clothes and put me on top of her. And she'd make me go up and down, up and down, up and down. Then when she was done, she'd throw me to the side and say, "Don't tell them." And I'm sharing with you these stories because those stories kept me smoking crack. Those stories kept me out there trying to figure out how can that little boy that was raised by a single parent fix himself. When I was in the projects, right, my mom was a prostitute. I remember on the occasion, my mom getting beat by the pimp, right? And I remember her head hitting the window, and I remember her screaming for help. So I hid underneath the bed because I didn't know what to do. And as I come from underneath the bed, she tells me, after he leaves, she said, "I hate you. I should have killed your ass too. I had 5 abortions before I had you." I'm telling you, I come here with a message of hope for you because you never got to do drugs again. I wouldn't care how bad your story may seem. I wouldn't care how difficult your road has been. I've given you enough trauma just in the beginning to let you know that if I can do it, you can do it too. But my trauma didn't stop there. Being in the projects, being poor, being broke, I told you already 2 times I was violated. 13 and when I was a little kid, right? Well, it didn't stop there. I remember going to get a haircut one day because we were broke. We were in the projects. We were broke. We had nothing. I remember going to get a haircut one day. God said, "I'm going to cut your hair, man. I'm a dirty kid in the projects and he's going to cut my hair." I'm really believing that. And I go get my hair cut at this guy's house. And I remember him shoving me on the bed, putting a towel in my mouth and putting his penis in my ass. And I walked home with blood down my leg. And I couldn't tell no one. And I'm telling you these stories, man, because I don't know what your situation may be. I don't know what you may have faced. I don't know what your trauma may be. But you got to deal with the reason why you get high. You got to deal with why you do the shit that you do. You got to deal with why you do and why you keep coming back to places like this. You got to ask yourself the question, if getting high is the answer, what is the question? If getting high is going to fix your problem, please help me understand what the question is. Because every time I sniffed heroin, guess what? I was a guy, right? Real life story, true story. I took my son to the mall one day, make out the mall, Christmas time. I'm in the mall with my son's Christmas shop. But before I got to the mall, be careful who you call your friend. I went to my friend's house. I left my son in my car with my car running to go get the dope. Sniffed the hair around in the bathroom while I looked out the window at my son. Get in the car and go to the mall with my son with me. And while I'm thinking I'm cool at this moment, right, I'm in the mall and the guy's tapping me on my shoulder telling me, sir, we're closing. And I'm nodding out and my son's on the other side of the goddamn mall. I'm the same guy who's standing here before you today. I remember stealing my son's money one day and the rest of the crack she couldn't finish. They tell you that one is too many and 1,000 is never enough. I don't understand why it took me so long to get it right. But I'm ever grateful for every opportunity I get to share. I've been to DC, I've gone all over the place sharing the message of hope. Because I don't care what you've gone through. I don't care how dark your secrets are. I don't care how dark your tunnel has been. On the other side, there's still hope for you. A lady called me today about her son. She said, my son, he had a DUI. He blacked out in his car. I said, well, have him call me. He called me, and the first thing he says, well, I don't think I have a problem. But he nearly killed somebody. And you may believe that you may not have a problem until, God forbid, you cause some pain to your family when they find you dead. How do I know? I was in a meeting one day. I met a guy on a Thursday night. I believe in really, if I could read it, it has a greater impact, right? I met a guy on a Thursday night, and I'm going to read this to you for emphasis that you pay attention. I met this guy, right? This was February. I want you to just do the math. I met him on February 18th. Is when I met him. February 18th, right? He says, good morning, bro. I know this sounds odd, but I love you and your honesty. I've seen you coming in the rooms and we're trying to get this thing together. It's so easy to run and numb myself, but I relapsed 18 days ago, so I'm starting over myself. Me and you, we're going to do this shit together, man. Hit me up if you need anything. That was February 18th, right? So I respond to him. I said, man, this really blessed me, man. We were overcome because God loves us much more than we love ourselves. We got a new day and we're clean. February 18th, 7:46 p.m. I said, yo, man, I hope your day went good. I'm at a meeting. I love you, bro. We got to catch up. He responds, yeah, I'm at a meeting at Virginia Beach. We got to come one Friday. Let's get together. I said, bet. Keep your head up, man. Stay safe. I believe in you. February 19th. I said, what's good, man? Just checking on you. I love you much. He said, all is well, man. I love you, man. We got many blessings starting when we're alive. February 20th. I said, hey, man, do you know of any lawyers? Because I had when I OD'd, got a charge, right? So you know what we do? We want to make the charge go away. So I said, hey, do you know of any lawyers so I can help my drug charge go away? That was February 20th, right? At 9:28 a.m. So February 21st, I said, yo, man, I'm in a meeting. I'm just checking on you. February 22nd, 7:40 a.m. Yo, Chris, what's up, man? Are you okay? I'm just checking on you. He was found dead. Found him with a needle in his arm. And if you follow the story, he said he relapsed 18 days ago. So in a matter of 22 days, he was dead. So I went to his funeral. And can I help you understand something about addiction? It don't give a fuck what color you are. And why do I say that? Because he was a young white guy. And they had his funeral. They had a big picture of him on a big easel in Virginia Beach. And his 3 daughters sat there, crushed, and they said, I just want to know why. Why did he go back? Why did he go back? And the question I got for you is that going to be somebody's question? Why did she go back? Why did he go back? You're not just affecting your own self when you get high. There's somebody that you're tied to. There's somebody on the outside of this goddamn place that's believing that you get your shit together. There's somebody that says, look, man, you got to say enough is enough, man, and figure out, listen, I never want to go back to Virginia Beach City Jail. I was in Virginia Beach City Jail, Hampton Roads Regional Jail, and the nastiest jail I believe I was in was Western Tidewater Regional Jail. And I don't know if any of you who want to trade this good eating food, this good coffee, whatever you got, for those nasty ass shower shoes you got to put on. Or if you was like me, right? You can't pay me to eat a ramen noodle soup today. I don't want to hear you tell me trades. I don't want to hear you tell me stand by your bunk for count. I don't want to hear you tell me step up. I don't want to hear you tell me it's child time. But guess what? If you keep smoking crack, guess what they're going to tell your ass? Child time. If you keep sniffing heroin, guess what they're going to tell you? Child time. If you keep doing the wrong thing, thinking you're going to get it right, guess what they're going to tell you? Lockdown. And you got to ask yourself the question, do you really want to change? Do you really want to change? So I come here, I go places all the time, and when I leave here tonight, guess what I'm going to do when I leave here? I'm going to get high. You know how I'm going to get high? Because I'm going to go out that door and I'm going to blow up. Because all 25 of us in here just got a hope shot. Yeah. This is my high today. I get a great rush, man, knowing that I just gave somebody's son some hope. I get a great rush knowing I gave somebody's daughter some hope. I get a great rush knowing that, guess what? If you go out and get high after you heard my story, you did it because you fucking wanted to, right? Because I don't know any of you who are like me. So in my profession, right, I climbed the ladder, 13 years in prison. I got my GED in prison. Can I tell the truth, right? We had to have a 225 to pass the GED test. I took the GED test in the gym. My homeboy was good in math. I was good in English. I cheated on the GED test. I got a 227. I passed, right? Well, that was then. That was back then. Today, present tense today. Not only am I a psychology major, man, I'm on the dean's list. But what I'm telling you is it doesn't matter where you started from. What matters is how you finish. It doesn't matter what you've gone through. What matters is what you do about your problem. They said, listen, the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using. The only requirement is a desire to stop using. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using. I don't know anybody in their right mind who wants to continue going to see probation office or parole office. I got to go check in so you can tell me to make sure my urine is clean. I got to go see you so you can tell me if I got a job where you're going to lock me up. I got to go and see you so you can threaten me with all the good time I got over my head if I'm on good behavior. Are you fucking serious? Somebody got to tell you what to do so you can learn to live life on life terms? Stuff happens every single day, man. Every day, somebody's making a terrible ass decision. Every day, every second, somebody thinks they can do it again. How do I know? I told you, man. My mom thought that. We're ready for Christmas. We getting ready for Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. We're getting ready. We're wrapping gifts. Everyone's getting together. Everyone's thinking, hey, Merry Christmas on tomorrow. And she was found dead. Can you imagine being a 12-year-old kid finding your mom dead? Can you imagine being the 12-year-old kid picking up the stem that your mom was found with when she was dead? Can you imagine being the kid that finds the goddamn broken plate that your mom had when she smoked crack? Can you imagine being the kid that walked home with the blood coming down his leg because he got molested again and you can't tell nobody? But guess what? None of that stuff defines me. None of that stuff made me who I am. They tell me, man, if it didn't kill you, it'll make you stronger, right? And I want you to know, man, that the message is hope and the promise is freedom. That an addict, any addict, can lose the desire to use drugs to find a new way of life. I want to tell you that, listen, man, that you may have had some challenges in your life, and you may still have some challenges. We all got them. I got them. This gentleman got some. We all have them. But it's what you do about them on a day-to-day basis. You got to realize, man, that getting high is never the answer. So in my present profession, right? Present tense. 13 years in prison, GED in prison, college student, dean's list, right? I got out of prison making $7.50 an hour. $7.50 an hour, right? Do the math. I had child support for 2 kids, $106.25 and $55 a week. And I was paying $125 for a room. $7.50 an hour, $55 a week for child support for 1 kid, $106.25, right, for another kid, and $125 for a room. Today, because I stayed faithful to the process, because I stayed in the race, because I didn't give up on myself when I was getting my goddamn check garnished. I didn't give up on myself when I didn't give up on myself. Been blessed to have a 6-figure job in a shipyard, homeowner, and 2 cars. And it didn't come overnight, man. It came by work. It came by getting out of prison, driving somebody else's car, then somebody else giving me a car to get to this job. And you know, let me tell you how it is when you tell the truth, right? Before I got to the shipyard, I was a contractor. I was a fire watch. Anybody know what a fire watch is in the shipyard? It's the lowest paying job you could have, right? I used to work for a company called Network Industries. They treated you like pure D shit for that little bit of money, right? And I remember going to work one day, And there's a moral to this story, right? I went to work one day and we're all rushing in the gate. You know, you're rushing in through the gate to get through the turnstile because you want to get there on time. And there's an envelope on the ground. And everybody's stepping over the envelope like, damn, you know, rushing because they're just thinking it's trash. So I'm inquisitive. I want to figure out, pick the goddamn envelope up. And it was $387 on the envelope. So what did I think? I just got blessed. Found $387. I'm blessed, right? And I remember calling my pastor. And I said, man, I just found $387 on my way to work. Child support, 106.25, 55, 125, right? Just what I need to survive another week. But you know what I did? I took the envelope and I turned it in. Turned it into the security office. And they wrote my name down. Well, let me be truthful. I asked my pastor, I said, what should I do? I said, I just got blessed. He said, you didn't get blessed. That's somebody's money. Somebody needs that money. So I turned it in. Turned the money in. They wrote my name down, put my name on the envelope. And I'm thinking, well, at least they're going to call me with a reward. They're going to call me and say, thank you, here's $20, $30, something, right? Yeah. Didn't happen. That was a Thursday. That Monday, the lady who was a supervisor, she says, are you the guy who turned the envelope in? So I'm thinking, yeah, it's me. Where's my money? Where is me? I turned it in. And she said, God's going to bless you one day. And I'm thinking, man, I don't want to hear that shit. 30 days later, I went from making $7.50 an hour to $18 an hour because I was obedient. And what I'm saying is, when she told me that God was going to bless me, how did I get that transformation? How did I get it? Because I went from being a contractor making $7.50 an hour to a full-time employee at Bay Systems making $18 an hour. Because I decided to do the right thing. And what I'm saying is, you got to begin to believe in yourself. You got to begin to sow good seeds. You got to begin to work on your recovery, man. You got to begin to write down some goals that you have for yourself and write down some things that are attainable. And what I mean by attainable is you write down some stuff that, look, man, if today you don't want to swear, I don't want to curse today. You write that stuff down. If you don't want to lie today, you practice telling the truth. You do what you can do with what you have, man, and realizing that everything you do has a consequence, right? Somebody told me, they said, look, man, every one of us in here are born looking like our parents, but you'll die looking like your choices. I think that went over your head, right? Every one of us in here were born looking like somebody, but you'll die looking like your choices. And I didn't want to die, man, smoking crack. I remember the last time I got high, right? It was in room 106 at the Econo Lodge on Military Highway. Went into the hotel room, it had a busted TV on the ground with a hole in it. And I was smoking crack in the rain. Everyone was looking for me. And I went into the hotel room with the last bit of money I had, with a busted TV on the floor. And I sat down and I began to smoke some crack. I want you to picture this. I paid them for the hotel room. I checked into the room to get high. There was a busted TV on the ground. And I still sat my dumb ass down and got high in the room. And the first thing I did once I hit that shit was I want to look out the goddamn window. All the while I'm sitting there and I checked into a room that I paid for with a goddamn TV on the floor that had a busted hole in it. And my question is, which one of us right now in our right mind will get out of here clean and walk to your nearest goddamn hotel room and cut the lights out and peek out the goddamn window? Which of us in here? Now let me tell you what my story was, right? I was the guy that when I did what I did, I used to like to get high and have on jeans, right? You know how you had a little small pocket right here? I had to fool myself. I'm gonna put something right here, knowing that you got that dumbass little button right there, right? Put something in my pocket and I'll put something in my socks. But before the night was over, that small goddamn pocket was torn off my pants. Those socks I had on was turned inside out. And my pants was ripped because I was still trying to find what I didn't have. You'll figure that out. Yeah. I was the guy, man, who I could find a goddamn crack rock in the salt factory. I don't know if you got that. I'll be willing to die, right? Inhaling the goddamn salt until I found the goddamn crack. And what I'm saying is, man, it was desperation. Yeah. Desperation, man, caused me to rob a house in Boston on November 29th, 1992, kicking in the door that I thought was a crack house, and I got $10 fucking, man. And I went to jail for 13 years of my life. $10. $10 in a raincoat. 13 years for $10 in a raincoat. But the truth of the matter is this. That little boy I told you about, that was scarred, right? That trauma I told you about in the beginning, that was a little boy crying out. Because all of us, if you're getting high as a result of something. If you're in here and you got a drug problem or alcohol problem, you're doing it to cover up something else. And it's not to beat you up. The question is, you got to ask yourself, why? 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 I asked myself the question. I said, man, listen, I don't have anything against anyone's sexual preference, right? Your preference, your preference. But because I was molested for 3 years by a guy, and then another guy put his penis in my ass, I thought I was gay. Is that too honest? I was confused. And because my cousin put me on top of her, made me go up and down and threw me to the side, I thought that I had to have sex with as many women as I could to prove to myself that I was a man. And all I'm saying is, I don't care what your preference is, but you got to figure out why the fuck you do what you do, man. Because it doesn't matter if you straight, bi, whatever the case is. The only thing I'm concerned with is if you want to stop getting high. Because getting high is never going to solve your problem. It's 25 of us in here right now, maybe 30 of us, but guess what? We can have all the goddamn dope in the world in here, and it ain't going to solve our problem. You can have all the meth, all the crack, whatever it is that we did, and your problem is still going to be there when it's gone. And I had to really tell myself that I was the guy that when I told you I stole my son's money, helped him look for his wallet, right? I told you I was the guy who left my son walk across the mall, right? I was also the guy that once I started, I couldn't stop. I was the guy that I'd be running up and down the street, Tidewater Drive, Virginia Beach Boulevard. Back then it was Ocean View Avenue, B Avenue, goddamn, anywhere you could find it, I had to go get it. And it was all said and done. I totaled 2 cars, stole countless money from people that loved me. In fact, real life story, right? I OD'd one day in the Infinity dealership in Greenbrier. I had I OD'd 5 times. 5. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, 5 near fatal overdoses. And it was only because the God of my understanding and the power of Narcan that I'm before you today, right? Because God intervened and somebody asked for Narcan and they brought me back. And I share all that stuff to tell you, right? Let's get to the positive stuff. I love y'all. I don't got to know you. Because when I came in here, you ain't got to tell me who you are. We got the same last name. You fucking had it, man. No matter whether it's alcohol, crack, marijuana, whatever it is, something got you at avenues needing some help. And you and I can relate. You ain't got to tell me your story. Your story ain't got to be my story. But what I can tell you is this, that getting high ain't the answer. What I can tell you is that somebody right now wishes they had your seed. The guy that I read you the story of, 4 days, man. In 4 days, I've kept that message in my phone for years. Never to forget how simple and how fragile life is. So the young lady asked me a question when I got in here, right? She said, how much time do you have clean? Anybody guess? Anybody guess? Anybody guess?
Yeah, I got that.
Anybody else? I just celebrated 3 years clean 2 weeks ago. And I share that because, truth be told, all I have is today. I won't give a goddamn how many years it says I got. All you and I have is today. Because I can go out of here and make one piss poor decision, and I'll be right back to square one. How did I get here? Virginia Beach Psych. Anybody know about Virginia Beach Psych?
Yeah.
I was at Virginia Beach Psych 7 days, dope sick, every kind of sickness you can imagine. Finally got out, and guess what I did? Went right back to getting high. And finally, I got to a placement where I had an ultimatum. I told you I climbed the ladder in my job. I went from making $750 an hour to making $96,000 a year. And a little over 3.5 years ago, because I believe in telling the complete truth so you know that I'm transparent and real like you, 3.5 years ago, I was at my job at Base Systems. And I went to work one morning. And I gave my guys their job assignments. It's called the JHA, Job Hazard Assessment. And I passed them out to my crew. And you know what happened after I passed them out to my crew? I OD'd at my desk. The same job that I prayed and believed God for, the same blessing I said I got when I turned the money in, the same hill I wanted to climb when I was making $7.50 an hour, I was now getting ready to give it away. And it was only by the grace of the God that I serve that the person who found me didn't take me to medical. Because had they taken me to medical and took my urine, I would have been fired. But because they had somebody come pick me up and take me to Virginia Beach Psych, I was able to get the help I got. And what I'm saying is, man, there's no coincidence. So by the grace of God, I stand before you today, 3 years and a couple of weeks clean, and I still have that same job in the shipyard, right? And what I'm saying is, I share that story with you, right? Because I never want you to think I'm different than you. I'm just willing to put the work in. I never want you to think that you can't do it. You just got to put the work in. I never want you to believe that no matter what you have faced, I'm pretty sure that somewhere along the stories I shared with you, you can identify with some sort of trauma. Maybe you was never violated as a kid. If you weren't, that's great. Maybe you was never told to shut the fuck up and sit in the corner. Maybe you was never told. I remember my dad, man, I could talk for days, right? But I'm telling you how I got here. My father, right? My father died with 18 years clean. But prior to him getting clean, he was married. He had another family. So when he met my mom, him and my mom had a one-night stand, right? And I remember when I finally met him, he told me I wasn't his son. I was really traumatized, man. You weren't my kid. So for years, he lived his life separate with his family, with his kids, right? And I remember when he was getting ready to die, he was a Norfolk general on the 5th floor. And someone said, hey, man, you may want to go see your dad because he's got cancer and I don't think he's going to be around much longer. So, you know, my attitude was like, man, fuck him. What am I going to see him for? But I went to go see him. And I remember sitting in the room with him, it was me and him. And he was very coherent, very cognizant when I got there. And I'm sitting at the end of the bed and all of a sudden he says to me, he says, man, I want you to know I'm sorry. I'm sorry for never being here for you. I'm sorry I told you when you was a kid that you weren't my son. He said, in fact, I just want to tell you that I love you. And I don't know what happened, man. With all those years of anger, all those years of resentment, all those years of rejection, all those years of bitterness was like ushered out the room. But I still have to deal with the fact that he had these other kids. So 2 days later, he's transferred to hospice. He's at hospice, and I happened to go over there this morning to see him. And when I go see him, all the kids he raised weren't there. All the kids he had been there for all his life weren't there. So as he's laying there in the bed, we began to pray because the nurses, look, his fingers are starting to turn colors. He's slowly transitioning. The same man who told me when I was a kid, you're not my son, I'm holding his hand when he takes his last breath. Can't make this stuff up, man. But what I will tell you is this. Staying clean must come first. I don't care what you've been through, ma'am, bro, sir, ma'am, bro. I don't care what you've been through. Staying clean must come first. I don't give a goddamn what hell you went through. Staying clean must come first. I got one last story to tell you about a friend of mine. Real life story, right? I'll tell you 2 situations that really, I thought my story was bad. Lady I know, right? Her mom played the organ in church. And every Sunday her mom would play the organ, but on Monday they would give her an envelope, right? Her mom was legally blind. Her mom couldn't see. So she would always be praying for her daughter because her daughter was bad off on crack. She had a crack habit, she had a heroin habit. So on this particular Monday, her mom was praying for her. And she said she heard her mom praying as she came into the house. But she knew that she played the organ on Sunday, so she had to have that envelope. Her mom was blind. She said while her mom was praying, she got on her knees and slipped it on her belly like a snake around her mom and took the envelope. And she went back out on a mission, but it didn't stop there. It was dead set of winter, man, in Baltimore. So she was filled with guilt, resentment, and disappointment because she stole her mom's money, right? And she said that days had passed by, if not weeks, since she showered. And pardon if I get a little graphic, but she said I had just came off my monthly cycle. And I was cold in the street of Baltimore. And I was standing by a drainage ditch. You know what a drainage ditch is? Where the sewers, it exudes the heat. You're standing by it to stay warm. And she said she was standing by the drainage ditch because she was cold. But she was dope sick and she wanted to smoke some crack. And she's looking for another trick to come. So a guy comes walking. He sees her. You know, we got the look, right? You know the look, the nod, whatever we do, right? She makes the nod. He makes the nod. And he comes up to her. And she said the drainage ditch was right here. He's on one side, she's on the other side. So they're trying to figure out what we gonna do. He got a couple dollars, she's dope sick, she wants some crack, right? What we gonna do? We're gonna figure it out. She said when they stepped away from the drainage ditch, because it smelled bad, when she pulled down her pants and he pulled down his pants, they couldn't tell who smelled worse. Him, her, or the drainage ditch. But she said she did what she had to do to get what she had to get. I know a guy who, his son, right? His son was proud of him. It's about choices. His son was proud of him because he was clean. And his son bought him a pair of Jordans and a belt to match the Jordans. So he went back around his homeboys because he wanted them to know, I'm clean now. Brand new J's, matching belt, fresh haircut. And he said he was just going to get one. Before the night was over, I'm talking about decisions and choices. Before the night was over, all his money was gone. The son that was proud of him that bought the Jordans, now he's filled with guilt because the guy that he was buying the dope from, he sold the sneakers to. Not only did he sell the sneakers to, he sold the belt to. Oh, but it gets a lot worse than that. So he says, look, man, I done gave you everything I had. The dope man. He said, I gave you my shoes. I gave you my money. I gave you my sneakers. Please let me just get one more, he said. Let me just get one more. You know, you ever just needed to get one more? Just gotta get one more, man. Let me just get one more fucking hit, man. Let me just get one more. He said he needed one more. And the guy said, bet I got you. He told him to turn around. And he had his way with him for $10. He lost his shoes. He lost his belt. He lost his money. And lastly, he gave up himself. And I'll leave you with this. What is it going to take for you to stay clean? What is it going to take for you to fight for your life? What is it going to take for you to know that your life has so much value that if you only knew how much you really mean to a loving God, right, and to your family, that you ain't never got to get high again. So with that, right, I'm going to yield the floor because I know my time is almost up. But I'm a part of the NA Fellowship, right? I have a home group. I have a sponsor. I believe in working the steps, right? If you leave here, right, you want to find you somewhere, find you somebody who believes in you, right? Find you someone that you can go to where you can be accountable, right? Find you somebody who wants to help you in your recovery, man. Find you some people that you can hang with that when you start getting crazy, they check that shit. No, man, we're not doing it, right? And if you in here, right, I don't want to bust your bubble, right? But if you in here and you in a fucking relationship, you setting yourself up for failure, man. Why do I say it? Because you don't even know your fucking self, man. Because the drugs, it may have been 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49 days, but you still don't even know your goddamn self. I want to be in a relationship. How about I figure out who I am? How about I figure out who am I? Who am I? Who am I when nobody else is looking? The question I got for you is, who are you when you're by your goddamn self? When you turn that light on, it's you in the goddamn mirror. Who are you? Oh, I got to link up with you so I can be somebody? You know, tell you this and I'm done, I promise. I walked around for a long time with some jewelry, right? I had some jewelry on. And everywhere I went, the first thing you saw was my jewelry. So you're thinking, well, he got a lot of jewelry. That must make him who he is, right? It must make you somebody because you got on this jewelry. You know what I did? I surprised everybody. Went to the barbershop one day, walked out of the barbershop, and I got rid of the jewelry. And why do I say that? Because I had to check myself and remember, man, that goddamn jewelry don't make me who I am. And what I'm saying is you got to ask yourself, what defines you? What defines you? What makes you the man? What makes you a woman? What makes you the person that you are? Because I promise you, I told you, if getting high is the answer, what is the question? If you think that getting high after you heard me share for 30 or 45 minutes is the answer, What is the question? Please help me understand the question so we can figure out how to get to the solution. Because getting high will never fix your problem. But if you begin to practice 3 indispensable principles, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, it says with these 3 principles, we're well on our way. But let me tell you this, right? It says it's only through understanding and application that they work. You can have all the goddamn sense in the world, but if you ain't applying it, you just got a whole lot of sense, right? So with that being said, I'll probably be here again in another month, right? I thank y'all for listening, man. Thank y'all for allowing me to share. Y'all got any questions or comments? We got a couple minutes. My name is Craig. Thanks for letting me share.
Sure.
And if there's no questions, we'll close with the political prayer, right?